Ernesto Valdes is the Vice President of Engineering at Traction Complete. Traction Complete offers businesses a comprehensive suite of Salesforce go-to-market optimization solutions for revenue teams. Can you tell us a bit about your employer's history working with IECBC and how you initially became involved?
So yeah, I initially became involved with IECBC because Traction on Demand, the um, parent company of the company that I work for, was involved in one of the hackathon events that they did, I believe, maybe 2018, something like that. I don't remember the exact year. And so Manu Varma, who was at the time working with IECBC and was the representative there, invited me to come with him. And so I went along downtown to the event. Uh, and yeah, it was a fantastic experience. And I really, really liked how, as an immigrant, I was able to give advice and help uh, to all of these new immigrants who were in the exact same position that I had been in just a few years prior, and that now I got to help them. That was really exciting. So a few years afterwards, I was contacted by maybe a couple of years after by I think Megan Simpson, who is not with Traction anymore, but at the time was heading our recruitment. And she said, would you be willing to do another one of these events? And this was during the pandemic, and so it's more of a online event. I think this is the first online hackathon style event that they had planned, and so I joined. And this was a couple of years ago, I think, and or maybe last year. I think last year, and so that was really successful because that event was a mini hackathon where in one day we presented the app, who we were, kind of a problem statement for the different candidates, along with I think Amazon and other local tech companies, and then the developers had one night and then one morning to get it all done, which is pretty intense. Whereas and it was all by themselves and over Zoom. And despite all of those difficulties, it was actually quite successful. We were able to find two candidates who did fantastic, and we hired them, and they're great developers in our team now. And so recently we did another small connections event with them as well, and that brought us a bunch of interviews. We didn't end up hiring anybody, but it was still a huge source of candidates. So we love ICBC, and overall, I just really love the attitude. That these are people who are in here because they want to do good for others, right? For immigrants to help them come in. So it's just very inspiring to see that these people exist. Because when I came to Canada, I didn't know about that, and it would have been really nice to know. And so now that I know these people exist and they're trying to help others, it's just very exciting to be involved.
Taking into account your own experience as a newcomer, how has this influenced your approach as an employer connecting with immigrant talent?
Maybe about some of the barriers that might exist in other cultures and realizing that they might not exist here. So I personally, when I started looking for work in Canada, I didn't know where to look or if it was okay to apply to this or that, if I wasn't qualified. So there's lots of these questions where maybe in other places if a job position is open with certain requirements, that's the only reason you would apply. Whereas one of the things that I realized upon working in the west coast of the North American continent, it's not really like that. And even if companies do have a particular position they want to hire for, the reality is they might not end up finding anybody for that position with those metrics. And since I've done a lot of hiring myself, I've come to understand that. And so having been on both sides, that's I think one of the things that I thought was really helpful is to come back and tell them what I would have wanted to know now that I've been on the position of the person doing the hiring, and just to tell them, lose the fear, apply, and push and get that initiative because it really does have a higher chance of working out. Whereas, if I was in perhaps Europe or Asia or different places have a different way, right, of hiring. And so that was one of the things that I thought to help them with. And then also to point them to different resources to learn, resources that, help them to learn the things that are in demand here and now so that they know where to go.
As an employer in the tech sector, how do you feel hiring has changed during the pandemic?
Well, I think overall, being in tech, the hiring practices we're not that much affected by the pandemic, in particular in my sector, because it's cloud web development. And so, it's already most of the work that we do is in a computer that can be done from anywhere. And so haven't found that there's much of a difference before and after the pandemic, other than that, most people work from home now. Um, and we can work to the office. When things opened up, we could work a little bit together as well. So that I don't think has changed too much, and should be about the same as integrating, somebody from the East Coast uh, remotely. So that I have found is not too different. What I do think is has kind of suffered when it comes to integrating people is the cultural aspect, where you get to hang out with them at the office, you get to go out with lunch, you get to know them as human beings, and that's more important than the work you do together, because that's the substructure. Right? Your human relationships are the basis on which your professional relationships and capacities are based. So I think the part that has suffered is that, not so much the strict the work day to day, because one can do programming and stare at a laptop or a computer from almost anywhere, but developing relationships, which is especially important for an immigrant, right? Getting those networks, those um, different people that that then expand your local domain. That I think has been more difficult, and so when we were able to go to the office during the brief opening, over the last year, uh, I made it a policy to, if anybody in my team shows up at the office, I show up at the office, right? So that at least they have that assurance that I'm going to be there. And then, most of the team was like that. And so that really helped the newly hired immigrants to actually get to know the team and to feel a little bit more integrated. And so, especially now that after we open up in the pandemic, that's going to be kind of where we need to double down, where we need to compensate for the loss of people relationships by investing in that. Because it's part of the rest as well.
When hiring for these highly technical roles, Traction Complete also looks for soft skills in candidates. Can you elaborate on the soft skills you're looking for as an employer?
Yeah, so let's first define what are the soft skills that we are interested in, because it's not every kind of soft skill, right? If you speak like a politician, but you're not honest, what's the use of that? But so the soft skills that I often say that are essential, and if you have those, you can basically get anything else, just a matter of time, is honesty and humility. So a commitment to the truth of the work and the quality of the work, and not the ego. That's huge. And then intelligence. So if you have those three, if you're intelligent, you're honest, and you're humble, then what can you not learn? What team can you not fit into? Right? The rest is just about the details. If there's some difference in the way we talk, or some difference in across cultures, intelligence, kindness, humility, all of that is what is brought to bear to solve it. So that's really the soft skills that matter, not so much the particulars or the phrases or any of that.
How is partnering with IECBC aligned with Traction Complete's corporate social responsibility strategy?
Well, I think it aligns with the value of social responsibility, right? So the B Corp idea is that you're not just responsible to the money, but to the environment, to the social ecosystem, right? And the way that aligns with IECBC is because you're precisely trying to find the people who, due to information, novelty to the country, all of these reasons, are excluded from being able to join those kinds of great cultures and careers. And so the part of the social responsibility is reaching out to, whether it's people who just immigrated, or people who live in a small town and don't want to move to the big city, right? Think about like they leaving their families, all of these migrations, or people who have, are young mothers, or people who, there's also many reasons why you might be excluded from that big city tech company life, which is actually quite small in a small place. Um, so that's I think how it fits, right? That is that idea of social responsibility, not just making the local city richer, but the province, the people in the small towns, the people who are home and maybe are taking care of a relative, and then like myself, the people who just came.